panelist link. So let me bring them on the attendee side. Let me find them. All right, as you're jumping on in, let us know what city you're from. Obviously, you know David's from Bakersfield. What's up, David?
Hello.
What's up, Scott?
What's up, boys?
What's up, Scotty?
Howdy, howdy.
All right, let me see if I find Paul in the chat section, attendees list. Give me a second.
What's the game plan? We just
We're
going
going
for
to be talking about where you shop for your clothes.
Oh, okay.
Number one.
Scott, that's all you, brother.
That's right up my alley, man.
My wife
We'll
shops
start
for
with
me,
that.
dude.
We'll start with Scott first, and then David, you can think about it as he's answering.
There you go.
Yeah.
And a long drawing because my wife shops for me. So.
So good, so good. All right, we got Tatiana from Santa Monica. What's up, Tatiana? Oh, you know what? I may have pronounced your name wrong. It's Tatiana. So I am sorry about that.
Oh, are we on?
Yeah, we're just waiting for Paul.
Oh, funny.
Yeah.
So they heard us talking about shopping?
Yeah, dude.
Oh,
It's
okay.
always, see, there's two portions always to the things that I do. There's the webinar portion, and then there's the Facebook Live. So you're only on the webinar portion of this.
See, this is maybe my second time on the webinar side of things. It's different.
Yeah, it's so true.
I can't see the other side, so.
Yeah, let me grab the title of this one and then throw it into Facebook, and then we'll officially get started. Let me just grab it.
Scotty, I'm not going to let you live that one down, brother.
We're just going to go ahead and start with that, dude.
Oh, God.
All right, Rekha Lamarada. Oh, do you know Rekha, Scott Lamarada?
Reka.
Okay, damn it. I'm terrible. I'm going to let you pronounce all the
I
names.
didn't want to correct you, but
You know what? Now I feel like that what was that short 5-minute clip by Key and Peele, where it's like he's pronouncing all of the names wrong for the school.
Yes.
It's Balake, and it's terrible. That's how I feel all the time. Sean, I think I got your name right. Valley Village. Pam.
You're all good.
Glendale.
Like Roxanne said, Tristan, you're all good. You can do no
thanks.
wrong. See, even
Thanks.
Reka said, you're okay.
All right. I love it. I feel better. Let me now play this into Facebook.
It's authenticity.
Get started. This should be a fun one, guys.
I'm
Oh,
excited.
yeah. This is going to be good.
I know David. I'm going to learn a lot from David.
I was just, man, why do you guys steal my line? I was just going to say, man, I'm excited to hear from Scott.
Oh.
I'm excited to understand how Scott chooses his shirts. And I just want to know.
See, and he's showing me up wearing his KW shirt, man.
Dude,
I would represent.
It's part of it.
Love
You know,
it.
I was going to wear my lab shirt, but I got it dirty yesterday. All right.
I know I usually save this for my inner circle on Wednesdays, but I thought, you know what? If I'm on with Tristan,
Right?
I got to go with my go-to.
I love it. All right. Digging deep into the mega agent's mind. You guys ready?
Let's do it.
That's the official title. Here we go. Let's talk to these two amazing real estate agents who, wait, you're also team leaders.
We are.
Right? Damn.
Yeah.
Dude, that's like, how is that even possible? I love that.
I got
You
a
guys are
quick
crushing
answer
it
for
on
that.
both ends.
It's the MREA.
I was just going to say
Ooh.
leverage.
It's the blueprint. How to get your time back.
That is so
It's-
key. That is so
Yep,
key, guys. One thing that we always talk about is how leverage is the new hustle. I mean, probably hustle is the new hustle, but leverage is the new hustle sounds pretty good too. So
It's the smarter way of the hustle.
100%.
ooh, I like that.
You're just running a team and an expansion team. That's the way I always think about it.
Did you say leverage is the heart of the hustle?
No, but I like that better. Yes,
Dude,
I did.
I'm glad I misheard that, Scott. Holy crap,
Claim
that
it,
was
man.
really good.
Yeah, claim it.
Scott, that's going to be a creation of you and I, okay?
That's a meme. Let's do it. I want
Dude.
a caricature like you've got going on.
Yeah, leverage is the heart of the hustle. That's what our title should have been.
That's good. I like that.
Dude, all right, it's now live into the Command Facebook group that we've got. Let's get right into it. I don't want to mess up the intro, so David, you were on first.
Hey.
So let's hear. Paul, is that a glass of wine?
Wow,
No.
Paul's starting early.
Oh, damn it!
Nah,
Vodka
I'm
and
not
coffee.
starting early. I barely started at all.
All right.
But I was listening to you guys. I was on the webinar portion of the thing. I couldn't get into the panelist side, so I was having fun listening to you guys. There, you want to know what kind of shirt I got on? There we go.
Yep.
That's
Nice.
so good, Paul. I think you and I kind of match, except minus the whole graphic you've got there.
Perfect.
Dave,
Yeah,
let's start with you, my friend.
yeah.
Tell us a little bit about who you are and what your business looks like, both team leader and team wise as well.
Yeah, so David Bernal, I'm from Bakersfield, California. I was actually born in England. I was an Air Force brat and go back and forth there quite a bit. And yeah, been in real estate about 4 years. So I still, I go to training and they say, who are the new agents? And I'm, and people kind of swap my hand down. And I'm like, in my head, I look for the guys who are 15, 20, 25 years in. I'm like, I want to be like that rock star, right? So 4 years in the business. We closed 89 sides last year for a total sales volume about 26 million.
Yeah.
That puts us in the top 5 in our MLS here locally, and super proud about that. It does, as cheesy as it sounds, and it's the right thing to say. It's a team effort, right? I'm one guy, and I do lots of things really bad and like 1 or 2 somewhat good. And so we've talked about leverage. It's about building that team. And then on the TL side, been super blessed to be asked to be part of the Forward Living Group as of April of last year. So leveraged myself out of the sales team and run the office here. We actually just moved, so I'm broadcasting from our new office digs here. I'm pumped about it. And yeah, we've had some cleaning house to do, and our market center's gone through some hiccups. And a lot of it was, to Scott's point, getting back into model and remembering who we were, which is what I wanted to talk about this morning, is what is Keller Williams? What does it do best? Who are we and who aren't we? And let's stop acting like we're the other guys and start acting like we are really great at what we do. And when we did that, there was an about face, and there was some hurt feelings and some stepped on toes. And when you've got the best systems, models, training, and education in the world, why would you go anywhere else? So
Wow, I love that.
that's all I got.
Scott, can you top
Listen,
that?
I don't know, man.
Come on,
That was
Scotty.
a good start.
I
Scott.
should be on
don't
the
know.
other side with Paul. I should be on the webinar.
I couldn't top David, just so you know. I'd be like, okay.
Yeah.
All right, Scott, you're up. Tell us a little bit about you.
Thanks, Tristan and Paul, for having me, and David. Grateful to be a part of Forward Living. So myself, I've been in, real estate since 2003. Gosh, I would say in 2011, I helped a partner open up a Keller Williams office in the city of Long Beach. My primary, my team structures, there's 7 of us right now. Last year, we finished somewhere around 34 million. I did remove myself from the business about 3 years ago, following the MREA systems and models, and then hiring talented people. Gary Keller and Paul Morris is actually teaching this class coming up this week, Career Visioning. Gary Keller, it always stuck with me. He said, this is the class that was called Recruit Select back in the day, but it's Career Visioning today, 30, 60, 90, and succeeding through others. And he said, you need to take this class as many times as you need to until you get it right. Everyone in this room is about 3 key hires away from running a multi-million-dollar business. So that always resonated with me. So I was just trying to execute, implement systems models. And then I have talented people around me, and they do it at a much higher level than I do, because that's their one thing. And so I've got Monica and Jessica, and who basically oversee Cotto Group. And last year we finished at around 34 million, somewhere around 70 transactions. The height of it when I was in production was about 120 units at just shy of 50 million in volume. So we're taking 2 steps back. But I have no doubt that they're building the solid foundation that I wasn't able to capitalize on. So we can go way beyond that. And so now I spend most of my energy launching our newest market center in La Mirada for Forward Living. We're up to about 130 agents. We've already paid off our loss carry forward, so we should be profitable as of February this year. June and July were our best months since we've opened across the board during this pandemic. So kudos to our office. So that's a little bit about me.
Dude, I
Really?
love that.
Yeah, phenomenal leaders, and it's great to have you guys on this morning. And you know, we're always focusing on the agent side of things when we're on this webinar. However, it's really interesting to have a couple of guys on here who both lead a team and lead an office. That's real leverage and real leadership. And that was the idea when we selected you two to come on. So really phenomenal. And you know, one of the things that people talk about is just balance. You know, work-life balance. I'm interested. You know, I could go right back to Scott. You both have families. And spend good quality time with your family. So how do you balance all of that together with your family, especially when, you know, I was just working with a realtor, great lady, by the way. And she's like, oh, you know, I got to go. I got a termite inspection. And I was thinking to myself, okay. You know, so how do you, David's laughing, but you know, I could open that to either of you, work-life balance. And, you know,
I can
so
take
much.
that. I think that's, you know, my passion is my family. I've got a 3-year-old daughter, Paul. When I talked to you a couple of weeks ago, I was on a date with her, you know, and so having my 6-year-old son, having the quality time with the two of them, my wife, is why I do what I do. So to you know, my epiphany was when I was as an individual agent before even becoming TL, was why am I working so hard? And if I wake up and I don't have anybody there, my wife's left me and my kids have left me, or my kids are grown and I was the dad who was always at work, what was the point? And so for me, I realized leverage and getting that time in the work-life balance. And look, it's okay working 6 days a week, 12 hours a day for a season. For a very short season, right? As you're building it and your structure, there's going to be times of that, and that can't be the go-to. Right. So I was telling Tristan at the beginning, you know, being able to leave the office and go on a, you know, 2-hour jump in the pool with the kids is important to me. Leaving work early on Fridays is important to me. You just have to put the work in. And I think the issue sometimes with real estate is we think, well, we want those things before we have the results. And you've got to put the work in order to get those kinds of returns, whether financially or through time. So work-life balance is huge. And I think the piece that Scott opened with about leverage, that's what it's all about. I mean, I say humbly, I'm only good at 1 or 2 things. And I'm somewhat joking, and I mean that there's really only a very small amount of things I'm really good at. And if I could, my aha was going through career visioning 3 times now, 4 times this week, was if I can build it to this level with my limited skill set, what, to Scott's point, am I going to be able to do if I have somebody that's their one thing, that they're focused on is that one piece. And then you get this massive explosion of business, and that's what happens. So that work-life balance is huge. You got to put it on your calendar. You got to make it work. You got to tell Paul, I think you're good at this, is, hey, I've got an appointment, right? They don't have to know that the appointment is picking your kid up from school, right? And
Sure.
and it's just has to be there. Otherwise you wake up, it's been 6 weeks and you haven't spent any time with the kids.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I got it. So David, can you expand on that? And then I'll go over to Scott. We were talking very shortly on your morning schedule, kind of like the setup to the day.
Yeah.
What does that look like so that people can understand what that looks like for everybody?
So for me, I always joked and said I wasn't a morning person, right? And then I get up at 4:30 and I do that for 2-3 years. And I go, maybe I am a morning person. I don't know. I don't particularly like it, right? And I like what it gets me. I like the results. I like getting to the office at 8 o'clock, and I've poured into myself spiritually. I've poured into myself through exercise. I've poured into my wife, and I have had coffee together. I've rolled around on the floor with the kids, and I've journaled. I've done my Bible study. So it's like I get to work at between 7 and 8. I get to work at 7 o'clock, and I feel very accomplished at that point. I feel that if I were to spend the rest of the day at the office, I didn't neglect my family completely. And then I get home for dinner and I'm walking the front door by 5:30, which, you know, is a feat. I feel like I've got that balance. And when I'm here and I'm focused. My wife and I almost rarely call or text when I'm at work. I'm not the romantic, I guess. And when I'm home, I'm home. And it's compartmentalizing is very important to me. So I'm always on, and I'm not trying to be halfway there and halfway here.
Love that. Scott, you're up, buddy. Tell
You
us
know-
this work-life balance thing.
Not to sound too Kellerized, but I got to tell you, they've helped me get structured in many ways. And so it's moving E to P for the balance. And that just means time blocking. And so the family time is always first. Never knew how to sync my calendars, never knew about a family calendar. Family calendar's in red, so Teresa can go ahead and put whatever family stuff is in there. And I know that that's priority number one. And then I just schedule everything around it. As far as balance goes, it's very similar to David. You know, I'm up at 5:30. I've incorporated yoga, like hardcore, or not like Paul, but I'm trying to get there. I will get there. But I'm 30 days into it. And so with the gyms being closed, that was what calibrated me. And that's how I energized myself every morning, was throwing weights around, and that's not an option anymore. And so then I started to run, and I really hate running unless I'm chasing a ball or somebody. And so that's not happening. So I found peace with yoga, and I love the whole just stretching yourself and getting uncomfortable every morning. So it starts my day off. And like you guys, I'm already, 4 hours. This is my 4 hours into my day already. This is my third appointment. My first call's at 8 o'clock. My second one was at 8:30, and here I am at 9 o'clock. So it's just time blocking.
All right.
One of the things, there's a concept too that I learned that really helps me, and that is that work or activities are like smoke in a room. And you always hear about this, like, oh, well, how efficient are you the day before you go out on a vacation, right? And it's like, oh my gosh, you're like, you're so efficient. You may not even work more hours, just so much more efficient. And one of the reasons is that the important pieces just sort of pop out, right? When you're like, oh, hey, I'm going to be away for a week. You're like, oh, I better do that. You take care of the 6 or 7 really important things. And I tie that back to smoke in a room. And that is that the more time, I'm not even going to put it on everybody else. I'm going to put it on myself. The more time I have to complete a few tasks, the longer it takes me to do those tasks. And so that's like smoke, that's the work. And now you got the room, you got a big room, it expands, but guess what? You take the room all the way down, right? The smoke still fits in the room. And it's amazing how much I can get done in a period of time when I have a smaller period of time. Now, the way for me to do that likewise is the time block. And I am not, I'm not a disciplined person, okay? And one of the things I learned, again, Keller Williams, was Quantum Leap. And Gary Keller, one of the first things he said at the first Quantum Leap I attended was, you don't have to be a disciplined person. You just have to have some disciplines. I'm like, oh, in that case, I'm in. Because, and when I tell other people like, oh yeah, I'm really not disciplined, and then I did 100 days of hot yoga in a row, for example, right now, I'm not disciplined. People are like, oh, you're crazy. You're the most disciplined person I know. Well, how about this? Since COVID, I've been very lax on working out, like extraordinarily lax. In the last 100 days, I've probably worked out 10 at most. I'm in, the worst shape I've been in a long time. I'm certainly not bragging about that, but also knowing how things work for you. So for me, having that class to go to really made a difference. So now times are different. We don't have that class. So how do I shift and pivot so that, right? And it really is something calling me to do it, which is what gets me to do it. I've done more meetings with people with Zoom. I've been all over that. I've been on that 10, 12 hours a day. First of all, there's a great need for that right now. But secondly, when you got that Zoom at 9 a.m., I'm on it, right? So it's that sort of time blocking. And if you're on here and you're disciplined, like these guys, you're up at 4:30 in the morning. We have other team leaders that do that. It just amazes me. I love it. And if you're not, it doesn't mean you won't succeed. You just have to put a structure that works for you into place.
Yeah, and I think to that point, Paul, I think you bring up a great point. Bold teaches us the work expands, to fill the time allotted. And I think that's the point you were making. I think that's huge. And I think that for me, with a young family, sleeping in is 6:30 in the morning, right? Will it always be that way? Hopefully, dear God, not. And so my family is more of that early time. Now, when my kids are off and in college and all of that, will that time shift? Perhaps. To your point, I know really successful people that start their day at 10, right? And yet they would smoke me at 7 o'clock at night because they're still grinding. So I think the point is do you and do what makes sense for you. Just be disciplined at whatever that is and get accomplished what you need to get accomplished in the day.
It does make sense to do the most important thing the first thing in the morning. That's an immovable truth. So if working out were truly the most important things happens, I get to the end of the day, I'm too tired, one of the things is if working out were the most important thing for me, and right now it's not, I could shift on that. You do that first. That's why for real estate, we always recommend doing lead generation first, because things will get in the way. Okay. And again, using a workout or using the 2 to 3 hours of lead generation, if my daughter were to call me and say, "Hey, I'm sick, Dad, I want you to come take care of me," I'm going to drop everything I do. Okay. But that, again, sorry, back in the day, I would take her to school at 7 o'clock in the morning, come back, do my lead generation. Well, unless she called me right away, I would have 2 hours of lead generation in before any kind of emergency could even happen. Right. So if I'm doing lead generation for, like, what would I do? Would I choose lead generation over my sick daughter? Never. However, you do lead generation first, it's already done. There's no choosing. It's done. Oh, hey, wow, I got to run out. Day's over. I'm going to hang with my daughter. It's all good.
Mm-hmm.
God, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
What's the one thing that you're working on right now that you're like, ooh, you know what? I can do it. I can do this a little better. If I did it, it would change my business more, or it would change my life more towards the direction that I want to get to.
Before I answer that, can I just touch on what we were just talking about real quick?
Do it.
Just one of the things for people that are out there, you can sense that everyone's kind of has a clear understanding of their strengths and weaknesses amongst this panel. And again, if you haven't, then really look into behavioral assessment. Do the DISC, perhaps your KPA if you haven't. This way you know what your strengths are and your weaknesses. So as Paul said, it's hard for him to get into the yoga because the class isn't there. He knows himself well enough. So if that's his weakness, or if you guys are out there kind of resonating on that same thought, then you've got to put more energy into some of those things that become much harder for you just to get you to take action. So I just wanted the DISC behavioral assessments out there for you guys.
It's very important. And, if you try to do something that's very important 2 or 3 times, like I'm telling you right now, working out for me is very important. And I've tried to do yoga at home by myself, multiple times. It just hasn't worked. So you have a couple of options, and one is just beat yourself up for it. Okay. And that just doesn't work. Okay. Another sort of funny saying that I like to think about on that is the upside of your upside is always more than the upside of your downside. So yeah. I just know it's not working. It's now to the point in the pandemic where I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna get my favorite yoga instructor to come to the house. Now I don't have him coming every day. I have him coming once a week, and you know what? That hasn't really worked. But when I get him there, and then I get my nephew who's doing yoga with me, now all of a sudden I've got that built-in accountability. Sorry to use that as an example, but I'm just saying if a lot of times people spend, and I'll put it on myself, not on these fabulously disciplined, panelists. If I'm doing something that's really important, I really have a desire to do it, and it doesn't work 1, 2, 3 times, I go, okay, it's not going to work. Okay. I know it still needs to get done. I need to figure out a different way to do this so that it will work. When you're doing something that's really important, you got to find a way to love and enjoy it in order to sustain it long term.
Tristan, so the question was, what's the one thing I could do that in doing so might make everything easier or better?
Yeah. What are you working on?
Okay, so for me, in my role currently as a TL, I am obviously our primary responsibility is to attract talented agents to join our market center. And so aside from that, I am trying to create systems and models to help scale that for me. So I'm spending a lot of time, yes, we make our outbound calls, our lead generation. Yes, I have a virtual assistant too who helps me make some calls as well. But then it's also automating the process, coming up with the system. A lot what you do, Tristan, for agents is what I'm trying to do on my end of things to attract agents instead of buyers or sellers. Meaning cold email campaigns, Facebook ads, targeting, retargeting, coming from contribution and shooting little 2-minute videos that might help agents out just to bring them into my environment, into my world. And if they like it, perhaps they're going to opt in, or maybe they're going to consume all my content. And then in doing so, they'll register. And then when I do webinars, trainings, business planning by the book, personal perspectives, whatever class I'm teaching, I'm going to send it out to my audience. And when they come in and they sit in on a Zoom with 10 or maybe 20 people, then I'm going to follow up with them the next day and say, how did you like it? What were some ahas? Does it make sense for us to get together and have a growth conversation about your business? Maybe I can identify some of your blind spots. Maybe I'm going to learn something too, because I know you got a big book of business. And so that's kind of, I want to get as many fishing poles in the water. So when I'm sleeping, I still have people registering for some of my events, exactly what you do. And just trying to attract the same like-minded people. And then we're doing the same thing for my Kato Group team. Monica, she's probably on this call, is doing the same thing to attract buyers and sellers. It's just systems and models.
All right. How about you, Dave?
I hate to do the softball answer, but I agree with Scott. It's on the TL side. How do you systemize and scale lead generation and to the point where it's just running like like we run our sales team, and it's a little different. I would say fundamentally, to Scott's point, it's the same. It's lead generation. It's the same sources, all of that, and it's scaling that to where I genuinely believe Keller Williams, specifically Forward Living, is the best company in the world. I mean, that's a bold statement, and I agree with that. That I said as an agent, and I'm gonna maybe rock the boat here, and I don't mean to. I said as an agent on our ALC, if KW doubled our cap, I'd still pay it. I said that as an agent. So what was I really saying, and what was the point of that? What I was saying is there's such an immense amount of value. This company has taught me how to build a multi-million-dollar sales business, and they're charging me what? I mean, that to me was like a no-brainer. Like, are you kidding me? What franchise system in the world can you go to and have that? That was mind-blowing to me. So articulating that to agents, which I'll read in between what Scott's saying, to get them to understand that. It's like, do you understand what I really just laid out here? It can be very difficult. And when you're doing email and you're doing Facebook and all of that, do people actually resonate? We say, oh, career visioning, and it's a good class to hire and retain talent. Okay, well, does someone actually understand the value of that class, which I would say was a pivotal point in my career and my sales team in scaling and getting myself to the next level. I was a hiring manager for Chevron. I was a junior VP for the largest employer here in Bakersfield, obviously a global company, and that's what I did, was hire folks. So I went to Career Visioning, and I went there as a cocky, arrogant attitude, thinking KW is going to teach me something about how to hire. And then I get there and I'm like, this completely just reinvented and threw out the window everything I thought I knew about hiring and retaining talent. And it was outstanding. And again, it was a pivotal point. So articulating that to agents, to just go back to your question, so the way I understand the value, so that ultimately it's a yes and they come in part of the team, is a challenge. And I want to make that less challenging and more seamless.
Oh, I put the career visioning link to Paul's class. Paul, when is that, man?
So first of all, well, it's Wednesday and Friday, 3 hours each day from 11 a.m. till 2 p.m. And
Okay.
One of the things that I did for all the team leaders in the region was say, hey, if you get just two, I mean, I can do this because it's Zoom, to be honest. Okay. We used to have it in a hotel room. and it was a day, first 2 full days, then a day and a half in a hotel room. People had to drive, stay overnight, and the admission was $700. But because of Zoom, and we hit our certain minimum, you know, the adding more people is a lot less expensive. So we put it out for $99, and I told team leaders from all 3 regions, if you get me 2 paid seats, you could bring me. At this point, I've opened it up because we've hit our minimums. All the recruits you can bring for free. And what I'll say to, you know, everybody that's on this webinar, we have quite a few agents on this webinar. If you get on and get a paid seat, you can bring as many recruits as you want to. Nothing will close people into your downline like career visioning. Part of my past, it's funny David says that, part of my past was I did an HR job at a high level, and that was federal interviewing and selecting federal judges for the bench, and that's a lifetime appointment, right, at the Department of Justice. And when I got to KW, interesting because there was some stuff that was the same. You know, some of the questions are like going 3 deep, for example, which is a way to analyze references, is exactly what the FBI does. So I'm like, wow, okay, so Keller Williams has this, but then there's so much more. It is a system such that at the end of 6 hours, you'll have a system that you can take off the shelf and use for hiring. And then it's just a matter of discipline of following all the steps. You know, you'll understand it, you'll know it, then follow all the steps, and you can, at the end of 6 hours, be as good at hiring as, you know, just about anybody, including the people like me who have taught the class 12 times. The reason why is because, you know, I might skip a step. It's in my behavioral style, right? And I just work on it, follow all the steps. But then, you know, I get in a rush and I skip a step. If you have never taken career visioning, you go through it one time, 6 hours, you go, okay, fine. Paul said 42 times, don't skip a step. I'm not skipping a step. And you follow those steps that we go through, you can wind up with a world-class hire. And I ask you, what would a world-class hire do for your business, right? The self-managed employee. How is that going to make a difference? So I encourage you to get on that Zoom call and bring, you know, again, if you're one person, even if it's not a recruiter, if you're one person on your team, I've got the seats now because it's on Zoom. Pay for a seat for your team, and then just add your other team members. I'm not even saying huddle around the computer. Let us know, hey, it's John Smith from the Smith team, and we've got 5 members. I'm paying my ticket price. Send us 4 more tickets so they can all watch from home. I would love. I just want to share this information, especially now during COVID.
Is there another one that's going to happen? Not just this one. Do you have something planned for September or October or no?
I'm sure we will. I don't think we have it on the books right now, but we'll do that for sure.
All right, cool. Because we need that, dude. Good job. All right, David, Scott, let's talk about your real estate business now. So I want to know what's for you, David, because we're in a weird market where most markets right now are hot, right? What's the source that is getting you the most business right now?
Yeah. So similar to Scott, first off, we run our business MREA all the way, right? There's no caveat, there's no spin to it. It's the MREA. So I just wanted to do that. So following MREA, sphere of influence is where we get 90% plus of our business. I think, but look here, 96.2% of our closed units came from SOI. So what I see is, wow, we have a lot of work to do on capitalizing sign calls and open houses, and obviously pre-COVID, all of that. And the vast majority is coming from people who already know, love, and trust us. By the way, yeah, go ahead.
Can you go into detail as to how that works? If you can expand on that. So
yeah, thank you. So the MREA book teaches us, 33-point touch, right? And what does that look like? And I get more questions on that. David, what do you send out? And here's the secret, right? It doesn't matter. What they know is that they hear from Scott. Oh, wow, look, Scott sent me something cool, trash, right? Oh, look, Scott sent me an email, delete, right? Don't get your feelings hurt. It's irrelevant. At my team, I used to spend so much blood, sweat, and tears building this content. And you look at the read rate, and you know how many clients, we do 8 client parties a year, and clients would come up to me and say, oh, David, I got your email. And I'd go back, they never opened it. So they were true, they got it, but they never opened it. So 33-point touch, touching every single person in your database 33 times a year, period, full stop, no question, right? And then the client party,
And
go ahead, Paul. Yeah.
I shudder to interrupt this magic. You know, I just want to put a highlight on it. I mean, I met with a woman who does not have this kind of system in place. She sells larger ticket items, larger ticket houses, and she's doing about $700,000 a year in GCI. And I'm talking to her about David's magic right here. And she's like, well, you know, I have to prove every single word that goes out. You know, this is my image. It's got to be perfect. And I'm just like, okay.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with it. I just go, okay, because I don't have time, you know, but
yeah.
People that are on here right now, you've got to listen to David, right? If you want it, and the only way the way I do it for myself is I want it to look pretty and I want it to look right. So the trick I play on myself is this. It's going to go out. So here are my 33 touches. I'm going to make all 33. Here we go. They're going to go out. They're B- at best. Okay. But I'm going to go back and I'm going to fix them. I'm going to make them an A, right? And then guess what happens? I don't have time to, however, they're still going out, you know? So,
yep.
Yeah.
That's exactly right, Paul. No, I
doesn't matter what you're sending. People don't understand that. I don't understand that. I don't want to understand it, but it really is true. Okay. Now your client.
Yeah, it's not the content. I mean, you want to have relevant content. You don't want it to be junk. You don't want it to be erroneous. You don't want it to be false. That goes without saying. And the content, I've never had, oh, look, I sent this email out and I had 9 seller referrals, right? I haven't had that. Maybe Scott has. I haven't had that. It's the multiple touches over a period of time, referral. I've had interns come into our office and go, David, your team just took $2 million in real estate in the past 3 days. Like, they're calling you and you go, oh, by the way, I'm booked this week, right? My assistant will say, oh, you know, listing specialist is booked this week. She can go out there next Tuesday at 5. Oh, well, we work until 5:30. She's got 5 o'clock on Tuesday or 5 o'clock on Thursday. Which one do you want? We'll leave work early. We'll be there at 5 o'clock. You create a demand from people where you are the specialist, you're the expert, and people want to hear from you. And there's not arrogance in that. You just have to live up to that. Okay. So going into that 33-point touch a little deeper, you know, email, newsletter, phone calls, right? Text messages. I don't like spending a lot of time on the detail because then people go, well, when are you sending the text? What are you saying? It's just send the stinking touch, right? Just who cares what you say, right? I look back on the first 12 months in real estate and I could literally start to blush at the stuff I was sending out. It's like, oh God. And it didn't matter. So there's that. And then the client parties, you know, for me, I'll be very honest. I don't like cold calling for sales business, right? To me, to call an agent and say, hey, we've never met before, let's talk about your business. I can do that all day. Sales business, it's a limited belief I have and a limited mindset, I'm sure. And so for me, what I did is I said, I wanted to go all in on SOI to where I never had to do that. So the conversations, hey, Scott, what's up? Did you get my email last week? I use Command Pam for my CRM for the platform. And I would say, yeah, hey, Scott, did you get my email last week? Yeah, I got the email. Great. You see the client party coming up in 3 weeks. We're going to go to Wiki Bar and have wine and appetizers. Can I count on you to be there? Yeah, dude, great. How's the family? And then that's that. So to me, that did not feel like lead generation. And my team laughs at me, and I'll close with this and let Scott answer is we'd go to a client party and people are literally handing me business. And interns and assistants and stuff that were new to the team were just like, what is happening? How are you doing this? And it was this, Paul, this is what I figured out. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And that's a famous quote. And I have that in my office, that people, if they genuinely recognize this person is going to take my best interest at heart. I sat down probably 3 years ago now, a $1 million listing appointment, $3 million home. Family wanted this lady to sell her house, didn't want to sell her house, lived there 30 years. And guess what my advice was to the seller? Don't sell your house, right? Stay in your house, bring in-home care. You can afford it. Stay in your house, heck, 1 more year. And great. And you know how many referrals I've gotten as a result of that? So you can look at short game, you can look at long game. And I think that's for us. We've just focused on that long game. So Scott, sorry, I took a long time there.
No, it's all good. I mean, my answer is the same. I mean, I know everyone out there wants to hear this nice, sexy answer about, ooh, what's going to, I'm telling you, just get bored with the process. It's all the MREA.
Love that. Yes,
it's
bored
MREA.
with the process.
It's just working through your relationships. I succeed through others. So our 33 touch is actually a 64 touch program. We're having to reinvent ourselves a little bit because, like David, we do 3 client appreciation parties a year. With COVID, that's not happening. So we're doing a lot more pop-bys, and home buyer and home seller workshops and such like that. But, if everyone just remembers the MREA, Gary interviewed all the multi-million-dollar producers, minimum net GCI of 1 million, which means you had a net 2.4 million in GCI. And the commonality between all these top producers, independent of different brokerages, was their number 1 pillar of business came from their sphere of influence. And they all ironically touch their database a minimum of 33 times. Follow success. That's it.
That's awesome. I love that, guys. So
let me just add one thing real quick. And so I leverage the system. I leverage Brian Buffini. I've done it since day 1 in 2000.
Scott, I didn't know this.
Yeah. It was my
Dude, I went to
thing was 2003. I have not released those mailers in the last 17 years.
I use the same system. I went to a Brian Buffini event I was 4 months into the industry, and he teaches that whole pour into your database and care. And he and KW, I think he's written a couple keynotes for Gary and back and forth on each of their books. And it's that pour into your database. People do not care how much. I've never been, and Scott, you may have had a different experience, never been to a listing appointment where people have asked me, how many listings have you taken? Just didn't happen. There was so much credibility before the appointment that the credibility question never came up, right? The point is I'm trying to make, they wanted to know, are you going to serve me and my needs? Do you care about me? And when you answered that, my experience has been it's a downhill slope from there.
Yeah, that's kind of like our mission statement. Our goal is to exceed your expectations so we can earn the right to your friends and family.
I love it. There you go. And you can steal somebody else's mission statement, by the way. That's a great one right there. It's a great mindset. And when you have that mindset, you have that mission statement. One of the things that's interesting is when you have a whole team, right? You have your mission statement sort of embedded in your brain. But when you say it out loud and then you make sure everybody on the team knows it, hey, if I'm gonna work on the Cotto team, I've got to know the motto is exceed your expectations so that I can earn the business of your friends and family. And right away, that's going to set my mindset. So if I'm like, ho hum, well, okay, geez, I might be on the wrong team. That's a constant reminder. That's excellent mission statement for sure. And you know what? In our offices for agents and for team leaders, I try to do the same. How am I going to exceed the expectations of our team leaders? How am I going to exceed the expectations of the agents in our offices? And give them actually more. So when they join, they will find, I say it all the time, if they're joining right now, the 2-3 things that they're joining, the reason why they're joining, our goal is to exceed the expectations so that there will be several things that they'll value greatly that they hadn't even thought of when they walk through the door. And I tell people that on the way in, and then really look to hit that once they're with us.
Nice. I like that. Good addition, Paul. Scott, David, each one of you can take a stab at this one. How do you keep the team and office going in the direction that you think is best? I'll start with Scott because you answered the last one first, David. Scott, what do you do for your team and office? Is it something that's the same or do you do it differently?
I mean, again, I hate to sound boring again, it's systems and models, but it's the talent around me. So you know, it is my standards in the Cotto group that Jessica and Monica hold to, right? And then it's the standards in the market center that Nadine and myself hold each other accountable to. And so again, it's just surrounding myself with people who are smarter than I am. And so I don't have to necessarily be a part of the Cotto group. I mean, on the day to day, right? It kind of goes, and then Nadine and I, we're just a two-man show and we just work off each other. But it's always creating the system. So when things fall through the cracks and we get a disgruntled agent perhaps, or something that happened, then we're always trying to, you know, be solution-based, figure out what happened, how do we fix it, obviously make it right, and then how do we fix it, and then let's put parameters around that so it's not going to happen again. And so everything we do on the day in and day out, it's an organic document outline, if you will, that's always being massaged and tweaked and added to. And by the end of the day, or by the end of the years, you're gonna get this nice recipe for success, I think. But it's
Yeah, I agree with. Oh, go ahead, Paul.
No, go ahead. No, I got a question.
I agree with Scott. I think that it's building the team around you. What my talent looks like on the sales team relative to what my talent looks on the TL side is different because of what the requirements are, right? And fundamentally, it's the same, right? The structure is there. So I think it's Scott said a little while ago, knowing about yourself, right? Like Paul strikes me as somebody who knows himself well, and he speaks so much honesty and transparency about himself. There's a level of vulnerability to that, and there's a level of people want to follow that. And so I think being that person in the team where you go, man, I'm really not good at this and you're great at it. Can I count on you to take that to the next level? Right. And then they feel like a spoke to the wheel, and they recognize while David is the face and you know, many times I get the accolades, which I try and push to the team as much as I possibly can. The reality is I'm one spoke on an 8-wheel spoke or a 12-wheel spoke. Right. Mm-hmm. And so recognizing that the team genuinely, I can only show up and perform and get the results that I can get as a result of everybody else doing what they need to do. And in the KPA career visioning process, I'll ask the question, you know, I need somebody to help take the trash out, and I need somebody to go meet the $3 million seller. Can I count on you to do both? And then I expand on what that means for me, right? It's like, if you're only coming on board because you think it's a slam dunk to be part of Brett, and you think you're just going to, man, you'll make 6 figures and everything will be great. I'm looking for the person. And another example I give is, you know, we've got a 75-year-old client who doesn't DocuSign, doesn't do any of that. And she needs us to sit down, review, you know, give an example of how she needs us to show up for her. And I'm listening for the answer. And sometimes the answer is, gosh, I just got to explain to her, we're real busy and we don't have time for that, in some words. And then that starts to indicate to me. So what I was looking for is you get in your car and you go meet the 75-year-old client, and you meet the client where they are, right? So I think to answer the question, I think it's just about knowing the leverage in your team, knowing the talent that you have. To Scott's 1,000% true. Systems and models are there. We build this thing so dependent upon us and our habits versus the structure and the system. And lastly, I think something I've gotten really good at saying to my team is, how do you think you should handle that? It's a basic question. And all I'm trying to do is create create some proactivity in my team to where they're answering and problem solving before they even come to me, and coming to me with a solution if they can't figure it out.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all great stuff. And you touched on it a little bit, but I wanted to know, what do you say to a mega agent or an agent that does a really good business? They want to be a mega agent. They say to me, I'm suggesting models and different things. And they go, Paul, my clients, they want me. I'm at a high price point, or whatever the story is, but it ends with, my clients want me. That's why I'm going to the termite inspection.
Yeah, I'll take that, Scott, if you want, or do you want to? Go ahead, you take it.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So, I mean, I stopped taking $1 million lists. Bakersfield, $600,000 is luxury. So when I keep saying $1 million, $2 million is a big deal here, right? It's like your guys' freaking average price point. But here, that's a big deal, okay? So what I realized is this: when you bought your BMW, your Mercedes, your Toyota, did you buy it from the CEO of that company? And if the answer is probably no, what you did is you bought the product from the standards that person upholds. And so what you're really saying is, David, I don't have standards in my business to make myself replicatable, therefore they need me. So just change the script on it. And then you can go, oh, well, crap, then what do I need to work on? You need to create systems and models to replicate the standard that you live by. And oh, by the way, it's 100% possible. When I do a buyer consultation, right, and I've got somebody, hey, I'm $1 million cash, just happened, right? Hey, David, got your phone number. How did you even get my number? You should be calling the sales team. $1 million cash, and I want to sit down and talk to you. You were referred. I want you. I want to be working with you. You're the guy, right? That whole conversation. I sit down and I say, great, tomorrow at 5:30, are you available? Yeah. Hey, buyers team, we got a 5:30 tomorrow. Can I, and this is how I open the call. Hey, Tristan, really glad to be here with you at 5:30. Look, I've got my team here. I wanted to introduce them to you. Guys, why don't you go ahead and talk a little bit about what you do? And I never spoke again. Literally never spoke again, because they performed at such a high level. The guy recognized, holy crap. They were talking about new construction and this and this and this stuff that I didn't even know about, to where then I closed with. So you can see why you're actually in better hands with Scott and Paul, and they're going to take really good care of you. Oh my God, I'm so excited. And then that's that. So just to change the verbiage to, I don't have the standard systems and models built yet to make myself replicatable.
Wow. I couldn't have said it any differently. Yeah. It's mindset to begin with. And just to add, if I can add anything to that, it just might be their vision isn't big enough. I'm not sure. Maybe they haven't really identified what's the end goal look like in 3 years, 5 years down the road. So they're not reverse engineering it to figure out what do they need around them, and who or what systems or people to help get them to get their time back, unless they want to work forever, which is perfectly cool. Paul, you always say that. It's not for everyone. So if you're happy with doing 20 million, that's great. Then stay the course. Do keep showing up Saturdays and Sundays and working 6 or however many days a week you're working. If you want more though, and you want your time back, here's the blueprint and here's how you can do that. If you want it.
100%.
And then surround yourself with people who are doing it.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I do is I look at what am I really good at? What are I'm always asking my leaders this, and agents, what are your superpowers? Identify the few things that you're really great at. Likely you're going to enjoy them as well. Stay in your superpowers. And then for me, if I were the agent, I would say, well, here's the deal. You hire me because one of my superpowers is negotiation, right? I'm going to make sure you're doing great in this deal. I'm going to guide the ship. But here's the thing. I'm also sort of low attention span. So, my assistant, I hired my assistant because my assistant has these 7 qualities. And that on my own home, I would want my assistant at the inspection, kind of looking over the inspector's shoulder, more than me, because if I'm at the inspection, I'm going like, oh, let me see what else I can be doing other than this. I've missed the whole thing. Okay. So they're actually better at it than me. And that's how I backfill with my team. Now, a challenge for all of our listeners is this: if you want to create a much higher level of productivity for yourself, get with your team or by yourself or a friend that knows your team well, that knows your business well, and take on a whiteboard and write all the things that need to get done on a scale of 9. You like all these things to be at 8, 9, 10 on your business. Write all the things that need to get done, and take the ones out that you love to do and move them over and go, okay, these are the things I'm going to do. Yep. Now, your team or your hire needs to do the other things. Now, that's a great luxury. Okay. So you may feel like, well, in my career, I'm a single agent. There are aspects of this business I cannot, number one, I don't like. And number two, I cannot delegate to my executive assistant. Well, that's okay. So now, but whatever you don't take over the other side is going to have to, whatever you don't hire to, those things you're still going to have to do. Okay. So take as many as you can. If you're doing your first hire, and I've got these 43 things, I move over the 10 that I like. Now I've got 33 things. Now I know who I need to hire. Okay. Yeah. And so I'm going to hire. Okay. So I'm not great with the data entry, and, I'm not great with this. I'm not great with that. I still love the social media. So I go ahead and put that over here because I love it, or I don't. Right. So now I know, does that person that I hired, do they need to be really good on social media or not? This is going to guide your hires. It's also going to you will increase your productivity by 3 times in doing the things that you love to do and hiring around that. So that's a great exercise for people to do.
Paul, that I don't know if people didn't write that down, I would have written that down. I don't know if this is being sent out later that they could go back. That what you just said, I think, is the key and the magic, because I was speaking more philosophically and high level, and that was a nuts and bolts, like bring it home. How do you do that? Write down everything it needs to be done in the transaction, rate it from a scale of 1 to 10, and then what you don't like doing and what takes the most of your time, because it's taking the majority of the time. You're probably not good at it because you're not efficient at it. And guess what you just identified? The first thing that your assistant needs to start doing. So what I see often from people, David, what does your assistant do? And I respond with, that's irrelevant because she's showing up how I need her to show up based off of my skill set. So what my assistant's going to be doing for me and what they're going to be doing for you, will be similar. I mean, it's all, there's only so many things you can do in real estate. There's only so many job responsibilities, yet where you focus your time and where I focus my time and what distracts us may be different. So when I coach top agents, it's what did you do today that took the majority of time? Well, God, I was making a flyer. You just identified the first thing your assistant's going to do.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, that brings us to the top of the hour. That went by super fast.
Wow.
By the way.
It was.
Wow.
Like lightning.
Scott, thanks for being here. We didn't really get into where you shop for your clothes, so sorry about that.
Oh, I was holding out.
Dave, I wanted to take a look at your wardrobe,
too.
but again, we didn't get into that.
It's one of Scott's superpowers. And, again, it's like, get into your superpowers. Scott makes, really funny, short videos. I do not, I actually would like to. So it's not one of these things like, oh, I wouldn't like to do it, so I'm not going to learn how to do it, but I just don't. I haven't done it yet. I really want to do that, but that's one of his superpowers. That's what he does. I really intend for real to go out to Bakersfield and go to one of David's client appreciation parties, and I'll just stand back and watch this magic happen because I want to see how that works. I would love to be able to do that. So these guys have identified so much great stuff for agents, and I'll say, and I say this not because, certainly not because of the money of it, I'd like 1,000 people on this career visioning class just because I know it is the value, right? Even if you're an agent and you want to give away a seat to career visioning to somebody who could use it for their own business, they're not even in real estate, but you've got a client that, has a small business, invite them. You can invite them for free at this point, get a ticket, get on there yourself, send AJ a text, go, hey, I'm an agent out in the Antelope Valley, and I've got, I've got 2, 3, 4 people in my database that are small businesses. Give us the tickets for free. We'll get you in there. I want to share this value because I know in leverage, there's nothing we can do better than get that one magnificent recruit, that one magnificent person on your team that will lift your whole business. That is the magic, and this is a system that will deliver it. So, it's a shameless plug maybe, but I want to get as many people on there as I can, and we've hit the amount that we need to break even or whatever. So like, bring it on, man. And maybe we should charge $500 so that people know it's valuable.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, join up. The link's in the chat box. Paul, thanks for being awesome. Scott, David, thanks for your time this morning. It was awesome, guys. I
Thanks
appreciate
for having us.
it. Thanks,
Guys.
Thanks a lot.
Bye, guys.
You guys are